Shelley with firstinhermind.com. I'm here with Elaine Davis, meltsinyourarms.com. I got that right?
You did great.
Okay,
Shelley.
good.
Thank you.
And Elaine is a woman that I'm very fortunate to be friends with, as well as she's a colleague of mine, but we've also developed a very good friendship that I'm very fortunate to have. And one thing that I hear a lot from men is they want to know exactly how to deliver comedy. They're a little intimidated when it comes to making a joke around a woman and just delivering humor in general without sounding goofy or corny or stupid. So Elaine is a comedian, and a very good one, and she knows a lot about how to set up a joke, how to deliver a joke. So I think she's the perfect person to give you an example of how to deliver a joke and make that joke as funny as possible without sounding goofy or corny or like a nerd or all of the other common concerns that I hear from men. So, with that said, I'm going to let Elaine take over. I'm going to allow her to give you a couple of examples, if you don't mind. Just kind of, I don't know, maybe tell them a couple of jokes and tell them, kind of show them how you do your delivery, what they should keep in mind, and techniques for making a joke that might otherwise be kind of dull, exciting.
Funny. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me be here. And
no
I really treasure our friendship, too. And I love to make people laugh, and women love funny men, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, I love to use the couple Mel Brooks, short, bald guy, and Anne Bancroft, gorgeous, talented actress. And they were married happily forever. He made her laugh,
Right.
So, we say this all the time. It doesn't matter how you look, what you make, can you work on that? And here's the deal. I think a lot of times maybe your high school teacher said, oh, you're not funny, or maybe your first girlfriend said that. I believe that comedy can be learned. Now, not everyone is going to be the brilliant genius of Richard Pryor or Lenny Bruce or whoever your thing is, but it's a skill. Just like we teach attraction skills and working on your whole persona, and a lot of it is learned and you have to do a little work and a little practice. Comedy is the exact same thing. So my first thing is, if you have a belief in your head that you're not funny, that's not true. Let that go, because everybody can learn to be funny. I'm not saying you have to go tomorrow and become a professional stand-up, because that's a long, hard road. Trust me on that one. That'll take forever. I had a mentor who was like, it takes 10 years. I was like, 10 years? Oh my God. But anyway, so if you have that belief, that's the first thing I want to say is let that go, all right? Secondly, comedy is a muscle. I talk a lot about working out and how I think being physical is so important. Being, whether it's martial arts or jogging or weightlifting or yoga or something, being physical is so important, and so is your comedy muscle. I write a lot of my own stuff, and when I am on my game, I am listening to comedy or reading comedy or combination. And it doesn't, you can be listening to comedy. I tell my clients who I work on this with, get Sirius Satellite. They have a whole comedy channel.
Yeah.
Make your drive to work fun. Or just if you're going to run errands, make it fun. If you don't have Sirius, you can, get stuff on your iPod, your Apple, MP3 stuff. Comedy is everywhere, and you can start to work on your muscle by listening to it and reading it. I love to read books. Steve Martin has Born Standing Up, brilliant. I'm reading Joan Rivers right now, brilliant, inspiring. Most comics have had some crazy lives, so it's inspiring too. But just the more you can kind of be around it and be in the conversation, it's like that bicep curl. It's like the first time you lifted weights, it felt weird and awkward and like, what the hell is this? And now you can do it while you're talking on the phone and watching TV. So it's a muscle that if you want to get funnier, and I highly recommend you do, as part of your persona, you can work on that muscle. Okay, so that's my second point. Now I'm going to give you a couple of examples of jokes and different deliveries. And again, I teach voice for my professional speaker clients, and I say it, your car is the best place to practice stuff. Because how many of us are driving 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there? And a lot of times we're alone in our car. This is a great time to practice vocal exercises or delivery or anything that I suggest. I always say your car is a great time because you're just sitting there at the lights half the time. And people will leave you alone because they think you're crazy and you're talking to yourself. Okay, so here's one of my jokes. And you can use this, practice it, play with it. So my joke is, everybody hates New York in the summertime, but I love it. The sun on my face, the wind on my back, the smell of pee everywhere. And it gets a laugh almost every time, especially in the Manhattan area, because everyone knows that thing. Now, a couple of things. The setup is you're expecting, I'm going to say 3 nice things, right? The sun on my face, the wind on my back, and then the third one, comedy comes in 3s. That's a rule of comedy, is I say something that's a twist, a surprise. But I kind of said it dry. I'm going to say it one more time. Oh, everybody hates New York in the summertime, but I love it. The sun on my face, the wind on my back, the smell of pee everywhere. Now that's an example of what I call kind of a dry delivery, almost a throwaway. I did not punch it. And that is one way to deliver a line. Like, geez, you're really da-da-da. Like, you can, it's just kind of a little bit of a throwaway. Now I'm going to give you another joke that I punch, and there's different ways of delivery, and everybody has to find their own way. Every once in a while somebody will write a joke for me and it's hilarious for them, but I can't sell it. It doesn't work with my persona. So part of learning to be funnier is trying to kind of figure out your sense of humor, and the way you do that is to listen and learn and read humor and comedy, because it resonates with different people. Like, a lot of you have heard of Stephen Wright. He's the one-liner guy. I'm obviously much more verbose, but anyway, so let me give you an example of another delivery. I love to say this at my comedy clubs. How many people are married? What are you in for? And when I have couples who've been together for a long time, I'm always like, oh my God, 55 years, clap for them, wow. And then they're like, what is your secret? 55 years with the same person. This really happened. And the lady goes, I said, tell us all of your secret. And she goes, just close your eyes and keep going. And the place just erupted. And then she goes, and sometimes I turn off his hearing aid. And the guy's like, what? No, I love that joke. For one thing, it actually really happened. I mean, you can't write comedy that good. Hilarious. I mean, there's a whole table of family and we were all howling. But that's an example. I really punched that line. Like, the setup is, oh my gosh, you guys have been married for 55 years. What's your secret? I'm just having a conversation. It's just a very simple setup, if you will, just a conversation. What's your? And then she says, just close your eyes and keep going. So that's what I would call pushing. It's also kind of a character driven. Now, the funny thing is, as a guy, you could use that joke. In fact, I invite you to. Just give me credit if you get famous. Give me some writing then. But, that's a funny, I think if a guy told me that, oh, I heard this joke today, or this happened at the comedy club, I would think, oh my God, that's funny, And, you'll do your voice different. But, that's the point. That's an example of pushing. And sometimes I turn off his hearing aid. I'm hitting that. I'm hitting that. That's an example of hitting the punch, as opposed to hitting the punch. So, I'm not trying to turn you into a professional stand-up comic, but it's fun to add nuances in your joke telling. And earlier we were talking about story and how every guy needs to have a story. And if you can add nuances of vocal variety and add some punches, and some things are more soft, that's a master storyteller. So little nuances, and some of this is stuff you need to give yourself permission to play with. And maybe you don't want to do it in your car. Maybe you want to do it watching us on your computer. Maybe you want to do it in your office. I mean, everybody works their own way. Before I go to a comedy show, almost every single time I run my entire set so that the words get in my mouth, and then I don't have to worry about it. I don't even think about it. I can just be with my audience and connect with them, and I'm not thinking, what's my next line? Oh, I forgot how I say this. You know, like, so, you know, another thing is practice your stories, practice your comedy, play with it, have fun with it, you know. And one more thing I'll say, you know, I have a friend who is brilliant, John Mulrooney, at impressions. He is so freaking funny, and he had his own show on Fox. He was really big in the 90s and early 2000s, and his impressions are freaking amazing, and he just exaggerates people's mannerisms. Now, I'm not good at impressions. I've tried, I've played with it, I'm not giving up on it, but some people, you kind of got it or you don't. But here's the thing, as long as I'm committing to my idea of the character, it doesn't have to be spot on or perfect. I mean, I'm not doing Clinton or Bush or Obama, you know, like, I'm doing my version of this cute little old lady who was like, just close your eyes and keep going. You know, she didn't really sound like that. But that's sort of my version of her. So if you decide that you want to try to do impressions, they don't have to be perfect. It's committing to it, and it's your version. It's kind of like putting your spin on it. So just as a quick recap, comedy is a muscle to listen to and read and practice and play with. And I gave you a couple of nuances, and like a kind of just a slip away, sort of throw away, and then like a pushing, hitting. And there's some in-betweens, but that's just an example of, you know, just stuff to play with and add to your persona. Because again, if you can make us laugh and forget about our crazy day or our family or whatever, we want to be with you. You're irreplaceable, as you say, you know?
I really like how you said that comedy comes in threes. I never thought about it that way, but you're right. There's a lot of jokes are delivered in that manner, and it usually kind of sets it up because it gets the person thinking along one line, and then boom, something.
That's a surprise.
Yeah.
That's
great. I think that a lot of them will be able to use that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, think in threes. And then one more thing, if you ever are trying to pick a word, anything with a K or C is funnier. I don't know why. I don't know why. And ducks are the funniest animal. They, you know, they do all these, there's so much psychology that goes into stuff. But if, you know, in case you decide you want to write a joke or something, ducks are the funniest animal, and is always a very strong thing to play with. So, anyway, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with Shelley, and her website again is firstinhermind.com. She is the wisest, sexiest, most brilliant woman. If you're not signed up for her stuff, get to her stuff. And then mine, I'm Elaine Davis, the sassy sexpert at meltsinyourarms.com, and we'd love to see both of you, and thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Thanks.